Welcome to the Area Podcast from the Ames Regional Economic Alliance. I'm your host, Eric Smith. On today's episode, we are joined by Rob Denson, president of the Des Moines Area Community College. From expanding academic programs to establishing new business partners, we talk with DMACC's longest-serving president about the ever-increasing role of community colleges. This episode is presented by Flynn Wright, Iowa's premier full-service advertising agency, serving clients from coast to coast for over 40 years. Experts in crafting stories that sell, Flynn Wright prides itself on helping brands drive performance and stay one step ahead. President Rob Denson, thank you for being on this episode of the Area Podcast. How are you?
Great. It's good to be here and inside and away from the rain. And, well, no rain yet, but wind.
Yeah. Was it bad coming over?
Oh, not too bad.
Okay.
There's just so much traffic on 35 North. It's crazy, but no, it was fine.
So, president of the Des Moines Area Community College, longest-serving president of DMACC, and recently announced retiree. Later this year, you will be retiring after 22 years of leadership at DMACC. Is that settling in yet?
Well, it's kind of hard to believe. I still got 8 months left to do and a lot of work, but we're excited about it. My wife and I got grandkids in Birmingham, grandkids in Washington State by Tacoma. We're going to spend a lot of time just driving around, and we travel well together.
That is good. That's I feel like that's a good bar to set there. If you can travel well together, you can really do anything.
Yeah, we take off, no set schedule, stop when we want. Very unplanned, but we've been blessed in many ways, and we're looking forward to a few more years.
Well, it sounds like a dream. So, how do you get to the decision making? How long does that gestate before you finally make the decision and then share with your team and announce publicly that you're stepping away after more than 2 decades?
Well, I'll be 78 years old, and so I figure that's about enough time. And my mother passed away last year at almost 99, so I'm thinking I've got a few more years left. And again, we've done very well and been blessed. As I usually tell people, I don't think we're put on this earth to have a good time, and particularly those of us that have been so blessed to be in good jobs, love what we do well. So we're going to continue to look for ways to be supportive of others, but we're going to slow down a lot. It's kind of a crazy schedule that many executives have, but I've loved it. But looking forward to a change of pace.
So in the announcement of your retirement, they go through all the accolades, and so I'm gonna list off a couple of them and maybe have you respond to some of them. So under your tenure at DMACC, expanded academic programs, we're gonna get to some of those. State-of-the-art facilities, you helped establish partnerships with the likes of Amazon, Microsoft, Google. Enrollment increased and got to a point where there's 36,000 students enrolled at DMACC.
That's 36,000 credit students. We've got another 21,000 non-credit students every year. Again, like any community college, we're out to serve the needs of our communities and the businesses in them. Fortunately, we're in an area of Iowa that's very economically strong. We got a good population, so our goal is to provide the skilled workers for all of our businesses. Our students are happy, the business is happy, and they both help the community be successful. So it's a great mission. I worked for Iowa State University, and I worked for the University of Florida, great land-grant schools. But we've got a niche in that 2-year market. About 45% of our students are here for a vocational type, career and technical type program. The other 55% are here for the first 2 years of a 4-year degree. We've got great partnerships with all the universities, but it's a big organization that moves fast, and I've really enjoyed it.
Well, that's what I found to be interesting in just listening to you talk before. You're always quick to partner and put praise on other institutions. So, you talked about Iowa State and locally partnering with them, but I've also heard you talk about the partnerships with other community colleges. And obviously you're overseeing DMACC, but you see community colleges serving a role across the entire state of Iowa.
Without a doubt. There are 15 of us. In 2011, we came together and came up with a funding formula that gives the smaller colleges more money per student than the larger schools. And at one point, DMACC was getting about $2,100 per student when Iowa Lakes was getting over $6,000 per student. But even with that, we've got the lowest tuition and fees in the state because we've got an economy of scale that Emmitsburg and other communities can't touch. And we want everybody to be successful. And something very unique happened last year during the legislative session. We went to the legislature and said, look, we've had this funding formula that gives the smaller colleges more, but the gap's gotten too big. We want to kind of rein it in a little bit. And the legislature actually gave us the authority as college presidents to annually change or tweak the formula so that it made more sense. DMACC was getting about 73% of the average state aid to community colleges. We want to get up to about 80% because, again, we know we're always going to get less because we've got the biggest economy, or the best economy of scale, and we want everybody else to be successful because we are in it for the state. And even when I was in Florida, everybody recognizes the Iowa system as being special. In some states, they sue each other over distribution of funding. Here, we came up with a formula. And when the vote was taken in 2011, there are 15 community colleges. When the vote got to me as the last college, it was 7 for the formula, 7 against the formula, and I voted for the formula, which I knew would result in less money per student to DMACC, but more success for the state. And that's my position. I think we're all in this together. Maybe if I wasn't from Iowa, I'd have a different position, but we want all the colleges to do well. There's always talk about merger. We've got a big area. All are part of 22 counties. DMACC has a lot to say grace over, and every community college area does, and we're best able to serve if every area in the state has their own community college.
Yeah. So prior to coming to DMACC, I know that you had nearly just as long of a career in law. So talk about that transition from that career, and then how did you get to DMACC?
Well, I was born and raised on a small farm south of Homestead, Iowa, one of the DMACC colleges. I actually went to a one-room country school my first 3 years that my mother had taught at, graduated from Iowa Valley and Marengo, came to Iowa State. I started out to be a veterinary. That's the best story. Organic chemistry convinced me that was never going to happen. And as I say, I went into the next closest thing, which was political science. Got my 4-year degree, but I've been involved in student activities, went to work for the Dean of Students office there. I got my master's in higher ed there. The Dean of Students at Iowa State went to the University of Florida as vice president for student services. And so a number of us went down at the same time. So I went down as assistant dean of students doing leadership and discipline. While I was working full-time, I got my law degree at the University of Florida. Then I became patent license counsel for the university for 2 years, and then I opened up my own personal injury trial practice. I did very well. I retired at age 47, got bored very quickly. The community college president in Gainesville had gotten to know me. I ran for public office down there in 1994, and thank goodness I lost. But as a result of that, I went to work for the community college. And my first experience with community college was Santa Fe Community College. I was internal legal counsel and dean of advancement. 2 years later, I'm president of Northeast Iowa Community College up in Calmer, Iowa, and Dubuque area. Did that for 5.5 years before coming here. So I never got too far from education. No. Even when I was in law practice, I was on several education foundation boards in Gainesville. I just know how important it is, and clearly I had a lot of support growing up, but a lot of individuals do not. And we've had so many great successes, and we want people to self-actualize, be happy, get a career that they love. A lot of people don't like what they do. I happen to love what I've done, and I've had a number of different careers. So it's a good life, but education's important. And as I tell most people, get the highest degree that you can, hopefully without taking on a lot of debt, because you never know what opportunities are going to be there that you can take and take advantage of if you've got the skills and the training. So I love it. I love it.
So in your first retirement, you said you got bored really quickly. Do you anticipate that happening now in your second retirement? Is your wife prepared for that?
I tell you, Pat and I have been married 55 years in August. She's been a full partner in everything we've done. She is the first lady of DMACC, and if I'm going somewhere, very likely, most people want to see her there too, and I always swear she works the crowd better than I do. Very well liked, very smart. But who knows what we're going to do, but we do want to drive around a lot. We haven't been great world travelers, but we've been everywhere. We want to go globally. We're actually going to France in May with our French Chef Exchange program as it celebrates its 40th anniversary, and we go every 5 years. So we'll be coming off the France trip, wrapping up some things here, and then we'll see where it leads. I mean, we're not ruling anything in or out.
So what contributed to the enrollment growth, like under your tenure at DMACC? Was it a philosophy change? What was that?
I think 90% of it was taking the bushel off the light of DMACC. I mean, DMACC's always done amazing things, but we never talked about it. So I think a lot of it is just having schools and legislators and families understand all the great things we do. We know students who start at DMACC, graduate, and go to any four-year institution. When they graduate from the four-year institution, they graduate at the same time with the same kind of grades as students who started out there. And in many cases, our students couldn't have gotten in as freshmen because we've got great faculty who could teach anywhere. We put them in a class an average class size is 18 at DMACC, so the faculty get to know and to help the students. I just think that it's exposing everybody to what we do. Now, I will tell you, right now we're bigger than we were pre-pandemic. We're growing about 5% every term over the same term in the past year. A lot of that, I believe, is all this publicity about student debt. And a lot of these debts don't ever seem to go away. Families and kids are realizing if I can get essentially the same quality education at a community college, why not? When I leave DMACC and go to Iowa State or Drake or Grinnell, I'll always be an Iowa State, Drake, or Grinnell grad, and I may not even tell you that I went to DMACC, but I've saved a heck of a lot of money and been in a small class the whole time. So I think it's just exposing the public to what we really are. That, and we've aggressively gone out to form better partnerships with communities, other organizations, other four-year colleges that helps them. Every time we do a deal, I say, look, we do not need to make money. That isn't our goal. We can't lose money either. So if you help me break even, I'll help you break even, and we'll both be ahead. And we've been very successful. And I know you mentioned Google and a few of the other opportunities. We were just named by the Intel Corporation as the first AI for the workforce in Iowa. AI is a big deal now, and we use it for various things. I mean, you got to be careful with it. But we've got a strong AI program now. We've been doing non-credit AI since last October, classes after class, and in the fall we'll be offering a for-credit AI program. And Intel provided the curriculum for us. I mean, it is great, and most businesses now will tell us that they want someone that has some AI competencies and skills when they come to work. Most people don't really understand yet all that AI can do, but there's a lot out there. So it's like everything else we do. Every one of our programs has an advisory committee of the companies that hire students out of that program. So we are business-led, and we teach the competencies they want in real time. They tell us what's coming down the road, what kind of equipment to use, and it is a true partnership. And so it's exciting.
So I've heard you say multiple times that, you run DMACC like a business. And so you're always sort of looking ahead to what is that next thing, what is the next workforce. I mean, you talking about AI is certainly part of that. I've also heard you say, we'll start up any program. We'll work with businesses. We'll start up any program so long as there's interest from students and we don't lose money.
Yep.
Is that a common philosophy in community colleges, or did you bring that on, or did it just morph over time into that making the most sense?
I think it's always been the case.
Okay.
I mean, how fast we can respond. And again, the business is telling us we need XYZ next week. I remember several years ago, we were contacted by the morticians in Iowa, the state organization. They would have to send their sons and daughters to Kansas City or to St. Louis to go to mortuary school. Very expensive. So they asked us if we wouldn't consider a mortician's program. And in less than a month, we had a program set up and through the Department of Education. And we now have the only mortuary science program in the state. Very successful. In fact, a lot of it is online. So we're actually got students from all the surrounding states working through DMACC to get their mortician's license. And again, we can do it more effectively and more efficiently than many other organizations. Students take most of their work online, then they come to campus every a week or so every month. And 2 weeks ago, we just had a ceremony replicating a military funeral that we actually held by our lake in Ankeny. It did get a few strange looks from people as they were walking by, but nobody got buried there, I'll guarantee you. But it was really cool. We had about 65 of our mortuary science students there, and they were learning what a military, all the rites and how it had to happen. But it was really cool. But we have that everywhere. We've got a diesel program. We just finished a $9 million renovation of our truck driving program for CDLs. We went from 100 CDLs a year to 250 when we quit teaching manual transmissions, which by the way, I hate because I grew up driving a semi, and I love manual transmissions, but all they're selling are automatic. So we went from 6 weeks to 3 weeks when we got rid of the manual transmission. But our concourse was in bad shape. Our building was in bad shape. So we're now up and running on a new $9 million facility. We reconcreted 12 acres. It is beautiful, 6 driving ranges, brand new building. We raised $4.5 million of the 9, the best fundraising we've ever had because people understand what truck drivers do. And now we're going to be able to go from 250 CDLs a year to over 500. And in the fall, we'll have the ribbon cutting because we just have so many donors. We're going to really have some great signage put up by then. But every one of our programs, we've got the largest water and wastewater treatment program in the state. We've got a great energy program that talks about wind energy and solar energy. Again, if there's a demand, as you said, if we can get students and we get companies that will hire the students, we'll run a program. And again, because of the efficiency of our operation, we don't lose money very much.
So how do you mobilize so quickly? The CDL is an investment into the future,
Yeah.
and that this is an industry that isn't going away. We can invest in that, we can grow it, and it's going to continue to benefit the state, certainly DMACC. And so, I can see that, but the mortuary science, where they say we need it running in the next month or two, how do you mobilize so quickly?
Well, it was a project whose time had come. I mean, clearly the state understands, we don't want to be sending our kids out of state to pick up key information and education. And death is a part of the whole process. Yeah. And so it's just been great. And I had a little bit of a personal interest in this too. My wife's father down in Riverton, Iowa, he and his brothers farmed several thousand acres, had a hardware store, but they also were the morticians. So, and as Pat and I were dating, several times I went out on calls with my father-in-law to pick up persons who'd passed away. And I will tell you that most people do not die during the workday. They're always weekends and late. So, but again, it's important how families are treated at those end of days is critically important. And my father-in-law was a master at it. So, we work with our students so they understand compassion and how to meet the needs of their customer, which is a family who's in grief.
So I'm thinking about, your leadership, over DMACC is having the ability to pivot and make moves and, now we should turn our attention this way, and how do we build? Is that just part of now the fabric of DMACC?
Yeah, it's the fabric of DMACC, of community colleges, and more institutions around the country. I mean, because it's like any business that has customers. Our customers are our students and the businesses and communities, so we work hard to respond to their needs. But I think it's true of any business. Clearly, we've got a lot of academic procedures and processes, but in the end, we want to make sure that students come to DMACC, are able to get through DMACC, and then get into a good job. Our foundation, which is a part of the college, a separate 501c3, but part of the college, we give out over $2.4 million a year to students, and for a few $100, we can make a difference in their lives, because a lot of times students who are working part-time or full-time while they're coming to DMACC, car breakdown, whatever, we want to be there in real time to help them stay on track. And again, everybody benefits.
Looking at a couple of these programs, and you had mentioned some of them, renowned culinary program.
Well, I tell everybody we host about 30 gourmet dinners a year as practices for our students. The chef introduces us to the guests and said, "Welcome to our classroom," because these are kids learning a great skill and working hard. And again, we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of our French Chef Exchange. And every restaurant I go into, I always ask, is there a DMACC chef in the kitchen? And I will bet 99% of the time there is. Oak Park, which is a new restaurant in the Des Moines area, very high end. 7 of their chefs are DMACC grads. And a lot of our DMACC grads are kids that have gone and internshiped in France. So,
that's pretty cool.
For many of them, it's the first time they've been on a plane, first time they've been out of state, and here we send them to France to work. But it's cool.
How long are they there?
For 2 weeks, they're traveling with some of our donors, because a number of us go periodically, and then we come back and they'll spend another 2 or 3 weeks in France. But you never know. They develop great relationships. We have had several that have stayed there longer because the chefs really loved how hard they worked. But when they come back, they stay in Central Iowa and work here.
Are these intense couple weeks for the chefs and students who are traveling?
Well, I'll tell you, go to a country and try to work with people when they don't understand you and you don't understand them. So the translation is always a good thing. And of course, we've got a great French instructor, Maura Nelson's her name, and she actually runs the French chef program. So many of these students have taken French class with her. So our students going there, they have a little background in French, but also people all over the world are learning English too. So it works out pretty well. But it's cool. We send students to Japan, to Yamanashi. It's a dental hygiene exchange. We send students to London for spring term on a London education exchange. We have students going to Belize to learn about Belize and the country. So again, we try to create neat experiences that you probably wouldn't recognize or expect from your local community college. Clearly, we're not the community college people thought we were even 10 years or more ago.
So on these exchanges, and I'm thinking about the culinary part of it, is it because you can just learn different cuisines, different styles, the environment is different, and then they can take those skills and translate them wherever they land, whether it's back here in Iowa or elsewhere?
Absolutely. I mean, and again, everybody does things a little bit different, and a lot of chefs, they're very proud. They've got things that are their formulation of whatever meal it is, how it's prepared, how it's displayed. I mean, it's good exposure. And I tell you, if you're working in a restaurant as a chef or otherwise, you're working hard, because when people show up to eat, you've already been there for several hours, if not more, getting ready for the next shift. And when everybody leaves happy, you still got to clean up. So it's a hard-working job, but our students have been very successful.
Talk about the auto tech program. I know that is obviously very successful in DMACC as well. You also host the only statewide competition in the state.
Yes, for auto tech students. In fact, I've just welcomed the faculty of auto tech programs for all over the Midwest. They came to DMACC for some training. But yes, high school students all over the state come in. They do a written exam. There'll be 300 of them in the room, and then the winners of that will come back for a hands-on experience in competition. And many of them, if they're the winners, they'll walk away with $25,000 worth of tools. It's a big deal. But again, we're trying to get more and more students to come through DMACC just to see what we've got. And we're active in many high schools. We have about 15,000 high school students taking DMACC classes in their various schools every term. Iowa has a very progressive and supportive concurrent enrollment program. The state gives the K-12s money to partner with us to provide college education, and these kids are ready. I mean, they'll start in their junior year, and out of the 15,000, we'll have 400 or 500 that when they graduate from high school, they are automatically, or they've already graduated from DMACC. They get their 2-year degree at the same time they get their high school degree.
Are you finding that more high school students are aware of this and taking advantage of it?
Without a doubt. The superintendents are supportive of it. The legislature gave the community college money to hire college and career transition counselors that worked with the schools. We've got our concurrent advantage staff that are working with all the schools. Again, it is a money issue because for these students taking high school classes through us, or college classes through their high school, they're free. So, I mean, that reduces significantly your cost of education. So, again, it's just another good thing that Iowa does. The governor also started several years ago, Future Ready Iowa, which has something called Last Dollar Scholarship, and it's about $23 million a year statewide. And if the Iowa Workforce Development Department, Iowa Workforce Development, IWD, creates a list of the high demand occupations in the state. And there are about 60 of them. And if a student goes into any one of those 60 programs, before they have to take out a loan, the state will step in and pay their tuition. It is a big deal. We had about 2,000 students every 2 years draw down over $7 million to pay their tuition because we want to get them through into these high demand areas without a lot of debt. So it's been a great program that Governor Reynolds started, and it is going very well throughout the state.
And DMACC is tuned in to essentially each one of these.
We work hard to make sure our students, first of all, we've got the highest bond rating of any community college in the state, lowest property tax levy of any community college, lowest tuition and fees of any college or university. Because we know, like as I said earlier, a lot of our students, they've got families, they're working part or full-time, low income. We want to make sure they do well. So we're mining all the federal, state, and local opportunities that can help them get their education at the most affordable cost.
So how do your faculty and staff stay on top of the current trends? We're going to get into a couple more programs as well, but the emphasis, what I'm hearing is we want to get these students prepared as quickly as possible so that they can get out and be productive and earn a meaningful wage, but that means it's learning everything right now so that they hit the ground running, which also requires the team at DMACC to be on top of the latest trends. And when we talk about, I mean, you mentioned AI, but even the auto tech program, these are ever evolving technologies that your team and the staff at DMACC need to stay on top of.
Well, we're very supportive of professional development for our faculty and staff, and we want to make sure they're keeping up with their profession because, as you said, things change quickly. But again, because those business advisory committees are right there and we have to meet with them twice a year, they tell us what's coming and what we need to do, and we pay attention to that. Auto tech was one you mentioned. We only have about a 50% graduation in auto tech, and that's because Carl Chevrolet and Bob Brown and Willis Lexus, I mean, they need workers now. And if a student's finished a year in auto tech with us, they have the basic skills that can get them into an entry-level job.
Yeah.
So they're happy, Willis is happy, and Carl's happy, so we're happy.
They're all getting pulled.
They're all getting pulled out into the jobs, into the careers that they wanted. And again, we hope that over time they'll come back to us, and many of them do. But everybody's happy, so we've done our job.
And I'm not hearing you're not dwelling on this 50% graduation rate because DMACC served its purpose in that role.
We did exactly what we promised them we were going to do. And many of them, if they want to move up, they'll come back. So it's just a matter of convenience and time. But these are good companies. They pay good salaries. They've got great benefits. So again, we've met the need of that student and their family.
This episode of the Area Podcast is sponsored by...
You have a story to tell. That story has a job to do, to be seen, to be heard, to sell, to find inspiration and insight, to use persuasion to change behavior, to turn strategy into tactics, tactics into action, to sell. Nobody does that better than Flynn Wright.
Continental Manufacturing Chemists, located in Huxley, Iowa, is a leading producer of oral care and animal care products for major brands across the United States. Since 1961, they have been a manufacturer of toothpaste, mouthwash, along with shampoos, conditioners, and many other products. As their company continues to expand, they are seeking passionate individuals to join their team, and they are hiring across all shifts. What truly sets Continental Manufacturing Chemists apart goes beyond their advanced equipment and diverse product lines. The heart of the organization lies in its commitment to its team members. In an era where many organizations face challenges in recruiting and retaining talent, CMC has managed to grow significantly because they put company culture first. You can learn more about Continental Manufacturing Chemists and apply online through their website.
It all started with the mulch colorant that made our name. And now, Color Biotics manufactures millions of pounds of product month after month, bringing brilliance and resilience all around the world. And as we look ahead, all we see is growth. A growing customer base and growing sales mean a growing team. From the lab to the field, backyards to ball fields, and beyond. We need vivid imagination, intense passion, and brilliant ideas. If that sounds like you, we have one question. Are you ready to get to work? colorbiotics.com/careers.
So I'm going to be in the airport next week, away and back for work. And one of the interesting things that I've heard you talk about is working with Homeland Security for the TSA screeners. Talk to us about this, because this really blew me away the first time I heard it.
This is an amazing story. In 2011, TSA came to us, wanted us to put together a Homeland Security certificate for the screeners in the Des Moines airport. We put together a 3-course sequence to lead to the certificate. In 2014, we put it online. In 2017, the head of TSA flies in from D.C., summons us to the airport, said they've got 80 colleges and universities across the country doing TSA training, but they were so happy with what DMACC was doing that they terminated 78 of those contracts, gave us 36 states, 220 airports, over 23,000 agents to train. So that was pretty cool until 2019 when they fired they terminated the other one. And now we've got all 50 states, over 440 airports, over 40,000 agents. So TSA pays for their agents to go through the Homeland Certificate program. As of 3 years ago, if an agent finishes the TSA certificate and hasn't got a 2-year degree, they will pay their way through DMACC, our online program. So we've got about 400 TSA agents from all over the country, every state, going through DMACC online, supported by TSA. And when we hold our graduation, we'll have it on May 7th, there will be people driving in from Texas and Connecticut who are TSA graduates from our 2-year program. I mean, they are so proud of what they've been able to accomplish. I mean, they come a long way just to go through a graduation ceremony, and again, that is so cool. We'll have over 1,000 students and about 4,000 parents and family and friends in the Wells Fargo auditorium, which I guess is Casey's now, but it'll be great. So I'm actually the graduation speaker this year. because I'll be retiring at the end of the year. So this will be my last big time graduation. So I'm looking forward to it.
Have you started your speech yet?
It is done. I had to turn it in last week, and they said no more than 6 minutes. So I can talk for 6 minutes. So, but normally I would be running the entire show from the mic, but because I am the guest speaker, my VP for Academic Affairs, MD Isley, is going to cover all the necessities of calling people to order.
Good. Cyber defense was another one that, has been a really big emphasis at DMACC. And I just find it interesting because it is such an industry and a topic that is right now, with the future being unknown. How did the cyber defense start?
Well, we've had a cybersecurity program for several years, and then we were breached in 2020. And I'll tell you, if you ever get breached, it really helps you really examine your system. And actually, every one of our systems worked exactly as it should. Our staff, our IT people, sometime late one night, got some triggers from our system saying something wasn't right. They immediately shut down, which we did very quickly. But we worked with the FBI, with insurance companies, a lot of lawyers and technicians. And it was about 3 weeks we were down, but when the bad guys went in, they got into part of what we call our Active Directory. And fortunately for us, they went left instead of right, and they got very few files. Less than 21 personally identifiable information files were transferred to them, which we then provided insurance for those individuals. Nobody was hacked, but it's very traumatic. So we went through that whole process. The FBI really didn't do much with us because they said our system was so strong. They called it whack-a-mole. We had about 8 or 9 of our IT guys in a room with screens everywhere, and as they would see an abnormality, they would stop it right then. So that went on for about 3 weeks. But again, we learned a lot. Our insurance company was great. And so since then, we've now been designated as a center of excellence for cyber design by the National Security Agency. And once a year, I have to go to a conference because there are very few of us that have had that designation. But it was how well we were prepared, and then how well we responded to that. And as you said, any one of our computer science graduates had better leave with a pretty good understanding of cyber defense skills that they need. But even as a part of that, we've become a harder target. There's a good software out there that we've brought in that, again, you're always worried about opening a malicious file. And I can't believe, and I'm probably more cautious than some, if I get in any email with an attachment, boy, I better know that I asked for that right then, because there's usually something wrong. And through our Outlook as our email system, there's a phishing button, and I send it out to be reviewed by an expert who takes it out of our system, opens it up, and 90% of the time it's malicious, and 100% of the time it looked very attractive.
Yeah.
So so we've got a whole program teaching our students, faculty, and staff just to be more cautious, because you never know. But in spite of that, our systems are pretty strong.
At DMACC, it's really about competency versus how much time I can put in. Has that played well for DMACC? I mean, under your tenure, and is that a philosophy that undoubtedly will continue into the future?
Yes, competency-based education. Someone comes into our truck driving program, and if they can pick up the skill in less than 3 weeks, we're not going to make them sit around. Welders, we work with a lot of companies that send their students to us. They go into a welding lab with one or two of our faculty members, and as fast as they can learn it, we'll give them the credential, because all they have to do is show proficiency. So you're going to see more and more of that. I talk about truck driving a lot because if you're a low-income individual or you really need a job, you can come into our trucking program. Usually there's some trucking company that'll pay your tuition, and in 3 weeks you can actually, I was going to say walk out, but you can drive out with a degree where you can make $80,000 to $100,000 a year, and more if you're willing to spend more hours on the road. But in the old days, you had to drive for 3 weeks or so and hardly ever see your kids. That's all changed. Companies work with families now because if not, these drivers have other opportunities. So we just want them to be able to go. But we're looking a lot at competency-based education. And again, we want to support students at the speed they can learn.
I mean, your business partners have to love that, though.
Well, I tell you, we're working with registered apprenticeships. There's also another program that the Department of Labor has that's called Student Learner Exceptions. We've actually trademarked it as Iowa Learns with EARNS underlined. AccuMold, for example, a great micro molder, global footprint. In fact, they're always building onto their building. They work with 3 high schools, Bondurant, Farrar, Ankeny, and Waukee. High school students are coming to AccuMold several times a week, learning about the company, picking up work-based learning or employability skills. And because AccuMold knows that if a student comes in, if the student likes them and they like the student, they'll pay that student's way through DMACC, through the machining program or robotics, and they're going to go back to the company because a lot of our high school kids, they need to work somewhere.
Yeah.
And we've got great employers, Casey's and so many others, but many of them are working with us now to really get those high school kids more engaged because that's the start of their workforce pipeline.
So as we approach the end of the year, when do you start, going through the reflective phase of everything that's taken place? Because everything's still humming here at DMACC. You're going to conclude, this semester, but summer kick off another, traditional academic school year. And when will you take a moment?
There is never a break. I mean, we get vacation time, but most of us don't take much of it. Because there's so much exciting stuff going on all the time, and software is so good. We get daily reports as to how enrollment's doing. There's an issue nationally about fraudulent applications. It seems like the bad guys are just always thinking of something, and so they're sending applications into colleges, hoping the colleges will let them through the process. Then they apply fraudulently for student aid, never intending to pay it back. So this is a big deal nationally, and so 5 or 6% of our applications are fraudulent, but that causes our people to spend a lot of time looking at them, figuring out, okay, we're going to put this one on under review, but it's just a fact of life, and I think we probably all get pinged fraudulently on our texts all the time. Most of them are political campaigns, but it's something it's just a new way of doing business. But all of our people, I mean, they're working weekends, and I mentioned the TSA program. That is run by a faculty member in our criminal justice department who's an ex-police officer, and as I tease him, he loves to write reports. TSA loves reports, and I think 100% of the reason why we've now taken over the entire country is his name is Steve Barger, he was responding all the time, giving TSA the data they needed to show the success they were getting from going through this program. But again, it's our faculty and staff work hard. I mean, they could teach anywhere, but we pay well, our benefits are great, and we give them a classroom size where they can get a personal experience with the students they teach. I mean, it is the formula for success, and we've clearly had success.
I mean, for an instructor, it feels like a huge recipe for success where you see like this instant learning, going on and instant impact from that student when they are off going into the workforce.
Yeah, and again, our faculty are working at both ends of the stick. I mean, they're working with the companies, so they know what to give them. They're working with the students from start to finish. I mean, they're able to celebrate success frequently. And then we just hope that we provide the support as an institution to them because their professional development's important. We know they've got families. We are one large family as a college, and we just want to make sure that we're celebrating all of our wins. And to talk to parents that come in and say that their student had challenges, whatever, and many of them don't, but they come out of DMACC and they go forward to do well. And it's great for Iowa.
It seems like the appetite for learning and success is there right away with the majority of students, and certainly with your faculty and staff as well.
Well, again, small class size, get to know my faculty, that's a good deal. If I want online or if I want face-to-face, I've got a choice. So there's just a lot of opportunities to move forward as quickly, again, as on your time. And many students know that we're their best chance. Again, our cost is lowest in the state. We'll spend time with them, a lot of faculty interaction. I mean, I don't think we're missing anything. We wish we had more money in our foundation, and we're always trying to raise money for our students because we know that a little bit of support makes a big difference. But Pat and I spent 25 years in Florida, but we were so glad to come back to Iowa. We were both born and raised here. Iowa is special, and nobody can take that away from us.
What do you think your biggest success was over the past 20 years, just thinking about DMACC?
Being able to collect a large group of highly talented individuals with a common mission. I mean, when we open up a faculty position, we have lots of faculty apply. So again, we want to be important to them and have the community know that we value our staff. But in the end, it's that advisor, that counselor, the payroll clerk, the faculty. They're the ones that decide whether or not we're going to be successful. Because day to day, they're making this engine run, and we run fast. Because like with any business, things change quickly. Everything's going to be becoming more competitive. But we don't tend to take a back seat to anybody. When I started at DMACC, my first day speaking to faculty and staff, I said that if someone comes up to you and asks you what the mission of DMACC is, even if you don't remember the words, just say world domination. Because we're in every business. You've got to be strong in your market sector or someone will take the business away from you. It's plain and simple. So again, we try to make our faculty and staff know that we value them. It doesn't mean that we keep everybody happy all the time, but they need to know our heart's in the right place. And we're a unionized college. Our faculty are unionized. Our support staff are. I've worked at union schools and non-union schools. I much prefer union schools because there's this relatively small group of people that negotiate on the part of the faculty or staff and us. We meet with them, these groups, every month. So we don't want anything to fester. If they've got an issue, they bring it up at one of our meet and confer sessions, and we try to solve it. Because again, the biggest issue with us or a marriage or a church is communication. So we communicate very regularly, and they're not bashful either. I mean, if they've got an issue, we're going to hear about it. But the same way with us to them. And they don't want poor performers any more than we do. We have very few disciplinary issues on campus. But if someone's not pulling their weight, it's noticeable. And our faculty and staff, they don't want poor performers there any more than we do. So we work together to help rehabilitate first. But if it's not working, it's not working. And we have such a high obligation to all of our students and their parents that we cannot afford to do anything but the best we can. And we intend to continue to do it.
Wouldn't you rather have that, like just this, let's talk about it right here, right now, let's not let it fester for 3 to 6 months and then it comes up and at an irrelevant time. Like, let's just have the conversation and then we can address it. Does that improve trust?
Absolutely. In fact, I get to work about 5:30 in the morning, and I've give people hitting our doorbell at 6 a.m. Number one, they know I'm going to be there. Number two, they know the coffee's ready. And again, they want to give us a heads up. Because again, if they see something coming down, they know we don't want it any more than they do. No. So let's deal with it. And I tell you, we've headed off a lot of inadvertent issues by working in real time. Yeah. Because again, it's not good for anybody.
I've always told people, internally here or other roles that I've had, I've always said, we're too busy to have internal drama. We gotta be able to manage that and deal with that and have conversations about that because we got a lot of other stuff to do. I mean, you got students to teach.
Yep, that's exactly true. And again, we've got if we got a program that's doing well, if somebody else has that same program, they're watching us, and if they can take over our market, they're happy to do so. And I tell you, it has not happened often because again, we're so wired into the eco-structure of what's out there that But again, that makes it fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't rest on your laurels. You got to keep your eyes open. But again, our faculty, they're hardwired for success.
Well, when the goal is world domination, you got to stay ahead of everyone.
No one's forgotten that. So, and again, I said it somewhat in jest, but it again in the competitive world, I don't care whether you're selling matchsticks or whatever. You got to work hard, and that's the way we do.
Have you had a professional win from the past week or week and a half?
I tell you, this Intel award to be the first AI for the Workforce College is a big deal. And now that I'm retiring, people in the business community, if I run into them out in a meeting or event, they've been watching DMACC. They can tell me how well their particular department of attention is working, and so that just makes me feel good. And then I was at an event last night, or actually a wedding yesterday, and the guy that was presiding told me about his son who finished our welding program and what a difference it made in his life. And the father told me that in his office, he's got a picture of me awarding his son his diploma. I mean, that just came out of nowhere. But these stories are all over the place. I mean, and again, private colleges, universities, they all do a great job. But nobody does it any better than we do. And that's what we're going to keep doing. We're always going to be in the hunt.
That reputation of DMACC, you had to have seen this shift over the 20 years that you've been there. And there's really one way to get to that reputation. It's consistent and high quality work.
Absolutely, and then letting people know about it. I mean, you just can't. I mean, they always say about Iowans, the thing, we're too humble. I mean, yes, it's Iowa nice, but you got to let people what you're doing. It's really Iowa great because in my first 100 days here in 2003, I gave 100 speeches, Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs. If there were 5 or 6 people, I was usually one of them giving a speech. And what I did for Ames and Nevada, I've done it all over the state. And just people get excited about it. I mean, we all want to back a winner. And again, a lot of the stuff we do, TSA, et cetera, surprises people. I mean, we were the first, Amazon now gives free college education to their associates. We were the first college in Iowa that was online to do that. Google, I mean, we're the first college in the world that Google picked for their engineering certificate, engineering specialist certificate. They would pick 10 of our computer science students, give them a mentorship, and $5,000 each to go through Google's engineering certificate. I mean, and I tell you, it started with us, and they went to 10 schools and then more, but every cohort had more DMACC students than any other group. And they've now stopped the program. But $5,000 a piece for our kids is a big deal.
Yeah.
And for us. And we got that because we knew a senator in California who was very impressed with what DMACC has been doing in our rural communities. So he lined us up with Google. I mean, it's our friends talking to their friends. And again, we always answer the phone. We respond to emails. And again, if we can do the deal, we will. If we can't, we'll tell you. But if we can find a way to make it positive, Kosovo, Iowa has a sister city relationship with Kosovo. So the sister city group took several of us to Kosovo 10, 12 years ago. And Kosovo is the most pro-American country in the world. Iowa was instrumental in their independence. You walk down the mall in Pristina, you'll see more Iowa flags. Well, you see the United States flag and a lot of Iowa flags. So I've been there 3 times. The Millennium Challenge Corporation out of Washington, D.C. gave $1 million to train 28 Kosovar women in the energy fields. They came here, all expenses paid for 2 years. Out of the 28, 26 graduated. Average grade point average 3.8. And now they're back in Kosovo, and one of the young women that graduated, she is the number one person she's not the secretary or minister of energy, but she is the number one person below the minister. So they're doing very well. I mean, it were good for us. But we have about 150 to 200 international students. We don't recruit internationally, but the word gets out. 97% of our students come from Iowa. 95% of our students stay in Iowa when they graduate. A great return on investment for any of our public dollars that we receive. And again, but that is the model of community colleges. In the 15 community colleges in Iowa, I'm sure they've all got something positive to say about what they've done, like what we talk about. But again, we focus on our area of the state.
Well, President Denson, I absolutely love it, and I have no doubt that the reputation of DMACC will certainly continue. I know that you helped shepherd it for the past 2 decades plus, but it will certainly continue. The need is certainly there, and it'll be an ever-evolving thing.
Yeah, if you're here to do your job and you do it well and with passion and you pay attention to your clients, whether they be students, businesses, parents, communities, you'll be successful, and DMACC is going to be successful well into the future.
Well, President Rob Denson of the Des Moines Area Community College, I want to thank you for being on this episode of the Area Podcast. For everyone who is listening, we'd love it if you would share this episode and certainly subscribe. This is the Area Podcast from the Ames Regional Economic Alliance, Personal Stories, Professional Journeys.